Hey, this is Notser and this is the Tier 7 US Cruiser Pensacola. It has 10 main guns, 8 secondary guns, 47 AA guns, a surface detection of 15.7 kilometers, top speed 33 knots, total health 34,300. Modules used: reduce crit chance on main battery, increase AA range, reduce flood and fire chance, faster rudder shift. And for my commander, situational awareness, basic survivability, basic firing training, faster turret traverse, lower chance for fire, lower cooldown on damage control. We are on the map north. I spawned in center and I headed for B. Unfortunately, the detection range is awful, and I was easily spotted and engaged by the enemy, so B is out of the question. I don't want to die, okay? That would be rushing to my death like those destroyers in that game that I had a couple weeks ago where they just ran to the enemy base. Nope, that is not a good strategy. So what we're going to do here is we're going to support our ally in trying to capture C. Now C is a pretty powerful point of the map now. It has control over a gap that can transition to D. So you could basically control 2 points without risking anything. And I think that's exactly what the enemy wants to do. The enemy destroyer is so low. Just show me one more time. Just show me. But he doesn't. He's so low that he wants to hide in his smoke for the rest of the duration. And he's a Japanese destroyer, so his detection range is fantastic. It's going to be hard to spot him unless he wants to give up his ship. So my ally is trying to run away as fast as he can because he is taking the fire from at least 3 ships, if not more. And the Pensacola, yes, it has 203mm guns, but they're just not as good as the Cleveland. The Cleveland had the rate of fire, the amount of guns. It had fantastic AA. It's just, this is a downgrade in every manner except for the caliber of the guns. So, what do you do to make it work, Notser? Well, I upgrade it because the turret upgrade is critical. You gain something like 15-second faster turret traverse compared to the default turrets. I also try and pick on enemies that I think I can beat up. I know this is like, bully, that's mean, but you really need to do that. You really need to identify a target that is either sailing brazenly, like showing their broadside and not giving it a whirl, or you need to identify a ship class that you can pick on, like a destroyer, which I tried to. Unfortunately, he's running away. I'm not going to get a chance to fire on him. I'm going to engage this Wyoming. I noticed that there's an enemy ship. Yep, here he is. It's in Atlanta. He's capturing C, and he's in range of my secondaries. He is not looking at me. You can see the backside of his turrets, so he needs to rotate him around. So we're going to try and hit him where he hurts. We didn't have AP loaded. It would have been perfect for the situation, but we try to reload it, and he angles his ship. So now it's ineffective. He could head back north, which would probably be the ideal thing to do. But this Atlanta doesn't look like he wants to head north. No, no, no. I want to show my broadside to Notser in his Pensacola. Well, I'm happy to please. So I'm going to fire waterline shots at the Atlanta. And yeah, that's not what I wanted. I wanted more damage. I wanted citadel penetrations. We need to kill the Atlanta. He's firing AP for some reason. And he's miss-aiming. We get a citadel penetration, which is awesome. And we're not gonna get another shot, unfortunately. He's going into the gap, and he's going for D. For me, I just think, unless you have the perfect location to shoot an enemy, very close range, low caliber guns need to be used in HE. The rate of fire, the ability to set the target on fire and relight them, it's just too great, and the caliber is so small that it's going to be really hard to penetrate for any meaningful damage. You don't get the amount of bonus AP damage that larger caliber rounds get. So what you really need is pinpoint accurate AP penetrations to make AP worthwhile on something like an Atlanta. And the arc is just too great. He's doing plunging fire, and we get a nice citadel penetration there. You would need to land on the deck to be effective at 10 kilometers. So it's going to be ineffective if you're aiming for waterline at 10 kilometers. You need to get real close in order to get the type of arc you want to have more success. So that's my thought on the Atlanta and AP. Now, we know one went to D, and we know one is at C, outside of our detection. There was an enemy that was firing on us from D. There's got to be at least another enemy at D because it was being captured without the Atlanta that we were engaging at C head to D. So we know there's at least 4 enemy ships in the sector against us. And we're detected. So they have a detection advantage on us. They got to be... maybe it's an Atlanta. It could be even the Cleveland, because the Cleveland has 1 or 2 kilometer detection advantage on us. So we need to be careful. Cleveland could devastate us. The Atlanta would not be able to fire on us. A good Atlanta captain will hold their fire until they're in range to fire effectively. They're sort of like a destroyer in that manner. And we know there's something there. There's something out there. Just trying to wait and see what is out there. Will they show themselves? Nope. There they are. So it must have been a Atlanta spotting for the Cleveland. The Cleveland was behind the island, and he was revealed to us because we came out from the island. But we have AP loaded still. We're going to try and engage on the target. In an AP scenario, the target needs to not be angled. You need to aim directly front in order to penetrate effectively. It's a low armor spot, but if the ship is angled in any manner, you're going to find that it's going to ricochet a lot. You can just see all the ricochets. I should have switched to HE at this point in this engagement. I was hoping that this guy was going to show his broadside on me, but he's not going to do that. He's actually good at the game. We land 2 shots for okay damage, and just more ineffective fire. We're trying to angle, of course, avoiding the wall of fire from the Cleveland, which is very scary, but we're just not getting the kind of damage we want. If we were more interested in just doing damage, HE would work out. And he takes an advantage of this. He shows his broad. We only have our back guns for this duration. We try and fire to get the best possible AP shot we can. We lead him a little bit. He angles. You can see the ricochet into the water. Just ineffective fire. We have an ally that has a lot of health right next to us. We're going to try and support him as best as we can. But the Cleveland moving away and at an angle is not ideal for our target. So we're going to switch to the Atlanta. The Atlanta's real low health. We could probably kill the Atlanta in 1 or 2 good salvos, and we would free up the friendly cruiser to help assist take out the Cleveland. And the Atlanta is definitely not this Cleveland player. He is not interested in sailing angled, avoiding waterline shots. He just wants to do damage, and he gets punished for that style of play. Almost 10k points of damage. It was awesome. And now we switch back to the Cleveland, and our friendly is dead already. Our friendly probably was broadside, and the Cleveland was probably firing AP and destroyed him very quickly. And we're able to avoid that AP shot just barely. Just dinged us, you know. He's angled too. It's going to be ineffective. We really should use HE when the target is maintaining such good angling. You can just see all the ricochets. This is just a perfect example of going up against someone who is using the angling of the ship just like I use against my enemies. He's getting right to the range of my guns. I cannot continue to fire without following him. And following a ship that is retreating is a huge disadvantage. The retreating ship has massive advantages. His target will always be in range because you're moving into range of a shot. He will always be moving out of your range. So you cannot lead him as effectively. He also can see you fire with minimal shots because your turrets will probably be facing forward. You won't be able to bring all your guns to bear. He can angle his ship, fire his guns, and then re-angle it with minimal loss of distance. So you don't want to follow. People who follow are asking to die. So I'm going to head to sea. I'm going to force him to come to me. Now there's an enemy Wyoming, which has been there like the whole game. This guy hasn't left this square, and he finally dies. So there was an enemy Wyoming over at sea. There's an enemy aircraft carrier that's headed south. That Cleveland conveniently moves back into range. We unload. He sets us on fire. Unfortunately, he's switched to HE at this long range. And we're using HE2. We have success finally. We should have been using HE long ago when he started to angle. We let off one last salvo before he gets around. We had set him on fire, so he had to use damage control. And we do 2,000 points of damage and set him on fire. And he has to burn down. He died. Now that was an example of someone who knew when to angle and how to angle. Very good player. I'm interested in playing against you again, Cleveland, Captain. So, we have this enemy aircraft carrier sending out his squadrons trying to take me out. How dare he? So we use defensive fire. We have our fighter already up. And we're going to try and focus fire enemy squadrons that have yet to drop their payload. Once they've dropped their payload, I switch my focus to the next squadron that is a threat. And you can see there's only one left. I don't care about that one. I care about the one with a full complement of bombers. I want to destroy that squadron before they can drop their bombs. We got an enemy Atlanta. This must be the Atlanta that went from C to D. And he has played very defensively the rest of the game. 2 enemy torpedo bombers are trying to get to me. And we're going to switch to the one that has yet to drop their payload and is the closest. That's my rule of thumb. I try to make a point of switching focus whenever the next squadron lines it up. And I think he's still firing AP. It's unbelievable, but he's still firing AP at a long range, plunging fire. He's just not being as accurate as he needs to be. It's just too long of a range. I think the Atlanta will work much better with HE. And we have AP. He's broadside. We barely don't kill him. But we only need to land 1, maybe 2 shots to take him out. Let's finish this guy off. Come on. Will this end the game? No, we only get 25 points. And we're going to try and get in range to do damage to the enemy aircraft carrier. There's very little time left, clearly. And for some reason, he has chosen to try and torpedo an enemy battleship rather than myself. And we fire, but the game ends. So, 3 kills, a couple Citadel penetrations. We were able to defend the base 19 times, as insane as that is, and that's why base XP is so high. We certainly didn't do enough damage or killed high-value targets to warrant that. We did something like 65k damage. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.